Hi kids, it is your dad again. This is the second video in What Are My Core Beliefs? That's the series that I'm working on now for you. What are my core beliefs? So in this video, I'm going to talk about, does God exist? What do I do with that info if God does exist? What are the consequences of not, not following through with what I should do with that info. And I'm going to give you a story about conviction. This is it's not a religious story, it's just a story, something about conviction. And I'm going to suggest that you read Romans chapter 1. A lot of what I'm going to talk about today will sort of, be also reiterated in Romans chapter 1. This isn't going to be a Bible study. It's just, what are my core beliefs? So does God exist? Of course. Of course God exists. I'm not going to quantify that in any possible way. Use your senses. Use your eyes. Use your knowledge. God exists. There's evidence everywhere. So what do I do with that information? I have to tell you. I have to tell you that God exists. I have to make sure that you know about God and what He is and all of that kind of stuff. It's important that I do that. There's consequences if I don't. The consequences are really that if parents don't teach their kids about God, the world turns into a place that I don't think is really the kind of world that we want to live in. Again, Romans chapter 1. Read that chapter for more details on that. I'm going to tell you a little story about conviction. I used to work at EA Sports. I was working on the Tiger 10, I think it was, Tiger 10 video game. Tiger Woods 10 video game. I think that's the one I was working on at the time. And there was a guy named Herb, and Herb had he had a task. He did his task, and then he went on vacation. So that's something. When he left, all of the team blamed Herb for some code that didn't work, and it had to do with connecting the Xbox to the Microsoft Store and whatever it is that was. That's not really important to the story. The point is, every single person on the team believed that Herb's code caused whatever problems that they were having. For a moment, I believed that too. But then I looked at the code, right? Because, that didn't really make sense to me. Something was nagging me that I should look at this code. And so I did. I looked at the code and I was able to determine that Herb's code, the code that Herb wrote, wasn't the problem. Now, I couldn't tell you what the problem was, but I was pretty sure that it wasn't the code that Herb wrote. So I told the team, I said, listen, I don't think the problem is where you think it is. I don't think it was Herb's code. But they didn't really listen. All of them were sure it was Herb's fault and he was going to have some consequences when he came back from his vacation. There was some level of consequence. I don't really remember what it was, but some level of consequence. So I stayed on the weekend because I really believed that even though everyone else said that Herb's code was at fault, I didn't believe that Herb's code was at fault. So I went in on the weekend and I found the problem. And then I found a solution and I wrote some code and that's a whole nother thing. I wrote it in C and they like C++, so there was some redo that had to happen. But the point is, it wasn't Herb's code that was the problem. I was the only one who believed it. And because I was convicted to believe that, it wasn't Herb's code, the problem was solved and it was fixed. And the reason I'm telling you this story is because I want you to know that being right, and being agreed with, those are two different concepts altogether. Everyone in the world can say that you're right or that you're wrong, and it really doesn't matter what their opinion is or isn't, as to whether or not you are right or wrong. Those are two different things. Being correct and being agreed with, they're not related. They're separate things. And so you can believe that you're right about something even if everyone else thinks you're wrong. That's very powerful. Now, statistics would show that, enough people think one way, then, whatever, statistics, right? But you can believe that you're right even when somebody else or everyone else believes that you're wrong. It's possible. And in this case, it was. There was probably 30 people, 25 people. There's probably 25 people who thought that Herb's code was at fault and that he was wrong and there was a problem. I was the only one who looked at this and determined that, it wasn't Herb's fault, right? All right, so that's what I want to tell you, is that you can be convicted of, and assured that being correct and being agreed with are not the same. They're not related. They're not, and I hope you realize that. Okay, so let me see what else. Yeah, that's it. This is a very short video, I think. God exists. Read Romans chapter 1. Okay. As a good parent, I have to tell you about God. The consequences are honestly a world that we just don't want to live in. And you can be right even when the whole world thinks you're wrong. And it could be the other way around, so you got to be careful with that too. When you could be wrong also, and the whole world is trying to tell you something. But they're not related. Being correct and being agreed with, they're not related. All right, love you kids. I'll do another video tomorrow. Talk to you soon. Bye.